the shadows start to grow, and the places that you know seem like fantasy. There's a light inside your soul that's still shining in the cold, with the truth, the promise in our hearts. Don't forget, I'm with you in the dark.
One day, James had to wait at the station for Edward to come in with his train. James was very cross. "Late again!" Edward laughed, and James just snorted away. "That Edward is too old," said James. "He clanks about constantly, and he's always late with my trains. He's too slow for any work around here. He's such an old iron." Thomas and Percy were angry by this. "Old iron? Slow? Why, Edward could beat you in a race any day." "Oh, really?" said James. "I shall like to see him do it." One day, James was parked near the yard. His driver was ill, and he needed to rest. Just as the signalman looked out of his office, he saw two boys fiddle with James' controls. James started moving by himself. The guard tried running after James, but it was no use. What happened? Two boys had fiddled with James' controls. "Oh, when I get my hands on those little brats," he said. "I blocked all the main lines for the next 30 miles, said the signalman, "so James doesn't crash into anyone. But how is he going to be stopped? We'll get Edward in a quirk. I know what to do." An hour later, Edward came with an inspector. "Inspector, do you know what you're doing?" He said. "I've got everything under control." James liked puffing down the line. James didn't know he wasn't without a driver. It wasn't until James realized his monitors weren't being tapped. James soon realized he was a runaway. "Help! Help!" screamed James in shock. We're coming! Puffed Edward. Edward was nearly caught up with James. The inspector had climbed onto Edward and, holding a noose, tried to lasso one of James' buffers. The engine swayed and worse. At last, "Got him!" Pulling the noose tight. Gently braking, Edward driver managed to jump into James' cab and turn off James' brakes, making James now in control. "So, the old iron caught you at last," said Edward. "Yeah, I know," said James, humiliated. The two engines arrived at the station where the Fat Controller was waiting for them. "Very well, good. James, you shall go to the works and have a nice coat of paint to relax. I'm proud of you, Edward. As a reward, you will go to the works and get that clanking fix." Edward was very grateful for this. He'd never want to clank ever again. "And that's pretty much what happened," finished James. Gordon and Henry were amazed by this. "What happened to the boys and your driver?" said Gordon. "The boys were arrested by the police and were given a walloping. My driver has gotten better," James finished. "We should thank Edward." "Agreed," said James. "I know. We'll whistle so loud we could break the Fat Controller's eardrums." "Probably not to that extent," said James. "But let's whistle a grand cheer for Edward when he returns." And the other engines agreed. Toby and Henrietta enjoyed working on Sodor, but James, on the other hand, was annoying towards them. "Ugh, what dirty objects," he would say. At last, Toby lost patience. "James," he said, "why are you red?" "Because I'm a very splendid engine, and never see my paint dirty." "Oh," said Toby. "Is that why you needed a bootlace to pull your coaches once?" James went redder than ever and snorted off. Later on, James had to collect some trucks from the sidings. He, of course, was annoyed by this. Dirty trucks from dirty sidings. Yeah! As they traveled, James collected more and more trucks. At first, they were well behaved, but James bumped them so badly that they wanted to pay him out. Soon they reached Gordon's Hill. Every wise engine knows to pin down brakes here. James had an accident on his first day once, but he was too stubborn to remember. He was too busy thinking of what he would say to Toby the next time they met. The truck's chance had come. They yelled, bumping James down the hill. His driver tried to apply his brakes, but James was going too fast at a steep angle to stop. "I've got to stop! I've got to stop!" said James, plowing through the station. Disaster laid ahead. Something sticky splashed all over James. He had run into 2 tar wagons and was covered from smokebox to funnel in gooey black tar. James wasn't really hurt, but the trucks and the tar wagons were all in pieces. After Thomas came with the breakdown train, Percy and Toby came to collect James from the wreckage. "Is that James?" "That can't be, Percy," said Toby. "That's a dirty object. And James told me you never see his paint dirty." They soon took James to the Fat Controller. "Well done, Toby and Percy." He then spoke to James. "Be careful next time with the trucks, James." "Please, sir," said Toby. May me and Henrietta have a new coat of paint?" "Why, yes, of course," said the Fat Controller. And Toby left happily, waiting to tell the good news.
"Do you know what?" said Percy one day. "What? Do you know what?" "Of course I don't know what's what," said Gordon. "If you don't tell me, after all." "I think the Fat Controller needs another engine," said Percy. "Rubbish," said Gordon. "If the Fat Controller gets another engine, it'll be just one other munchkin to deal with. After all, you and Thomas are enough to handle." James agreed with Gordon.
"Ever since my incident with that signal," said Percy, "I've been a laughing stock. Things kept going wrong. The coaches and trucks wouldn't behave, and by the end of the afternoon he was bored, sick, and tired." "What's the matter, Percy?" said the Fat Controller.
"I'm overworked, sir," said Percy. "I'm so overworked that I can't tell if I'm standing on my wheels or on my boiler."
"You seem to be the right side up to me," he said. "Tell you what, Percy. You work on Thomas and Toby's branch line from now on, fixing the new harbour. I've gotten a new engine to take your place at the station. He's bigger than you, and can take the coaches and trucks around easier."
"Oh, thank you, sir,"
said Percy happily. When the new engine came, he introduced himself. "What is your name?" said the Fat Controller. "Montague, sir," he said, "but I'm usually called Duck. The engine said I wobbled like one, and the name just stuck. Then Duck it shall be. Percy, please show Duck around the yard."
"With pleasure, sir,"
said Percy cheerfully. Duck and Percy worked well together. The trucks had no nonsense against them. I'm sorry to say the same wasn't with the engines. "He's a good chap," said Gordon, "so let's tease him about it." The engines made quacking noises around Duck, ordered him about, and blew steam at him. It was very inappropriate. One day, Duck and Percy had enough. "Did they tell you to do things?" said Duck to Percy.
"They do,"
said Percy. "Unspeakable things.
"Well, this has gone enough.
I'm putting my wheel down." The Fat Controller was having a nice evening with tea and crumpets in his office. He had just walked out of his office when all of a sudden, there was Duck and Percy blocking the points to their shed. "What's the meaning of this?" said the Fat Controller. "You see, sir," said Duck, "we were standing up for ourselves because the bigger engines act like we're useless. Mostly because you're the controller of the railway, and they boss us about like they're your job." "Silence!" snapped the Fat Controller. Well, I appreciate you standing up for yourselves, Duck, Percy. I am not happy with your actions. Gordon and Henry snickered to each other before changing their mode when the Fat Controller joined them. As for you three, he said, I am the controller of this railway, and you will do as you are told and not give orders to other engines. Percy soon went away on Thomas's branch line, and Duck kept the engines in order. It went so easily.
One day, Thomas was at the station when Gordon came up with some trucks. Said Thomas. What a funny smell. Can you smell a smell?
No one noticed it till you did, said Gordon. It must be yours.
Well, said Thomas to his coaches. Do you know what I think the smell is?
Jesus Christ, please no.
It's ditch water.
Gordon just snorted as Thomas left.
That was quite rude, said Annie Clavin.
Thomas had mocked Gordon for falling into a ditch. But Thomas really didn't care. He dropped off his coaches and went to work. Long ago, miners had digged through a pathway under the ground, but had caused the land on top to be weaker for the engine to pass over. So when Thomas saw a sign that read, "Danger! Engines must not pass this board," he didn't think it twice before reading it. "Stupid board," said Thomas, and he made a plan. Jolt! He banged so hard, his driving fireman fell off his footplate. "Come back," yelled his driver.
"Cinders and ashes," said Thomas. "I'm stuck."
And he was.
"Oh dear, I am a silly engine."
"And a very naughty one too," said the Fat Controller. "I saw you. We will need Gordon to help you get out, as he's the only engine available at the moment." Thomas felt scared.
"Oh dear," he said. "Gordon will mock me for sure."
And he was right. "Down a mine, has he?" said Gordon to himself, chuckling. Gordon soon arrived to save Thomas. He was hooked up with lines and hooks to couple up to Thomas. "Are you ready? Heave!" Gordon pulled and pulled and pulled with all his might, and after a few minutes, Thomas was free.
"I'm sorry I teased you," said Thomas.
"That's all right," said Gordon. "Let's make an alliance to work together."
"Okay,"
said Thomas, and the two engines puffed off into the sunset.
Thomas the Tank Engine had not been feeling well lately, so Edward had to take Thomas to the works. The Fat Controller came to see Duck about the matter. "Duck, I'm putting you in charge of Thomas's branch line until he comes back." Annie and Carvel enjoyed Duck's company. They both told Duck about the time Thomas left the guard at the station. When Thomas came back, the coaches told him all about Duck and how well he did. Thomas was at first jealous, but he didn't mind. Because of Thomas's illness, his brakes had to be put on more pressure, meaning he had to stop quickly at the station. This meant he would sometimes overlap the platform. One day his normal driver was sick, and an inspector had to take his place. But the inspector did not know he had to put more pressure on Thomas's brake. One day he was talking to the station master and the fireman at the station when Thomas suddenly started moving. It was little at first, but he started getting faster and faster. Thomas tried everything to get their attention, but it was no use. By the time they noticed, Thomas had already left the station. Quickly the inspector hurried to herald the helicopter, and a chase was on. Poor Thomas was scared out of his smoke box. He wondered if he would crash. Harold the helicopter flew by to get to Thomas first. At last, after an hour, Thomas had slowed down to a crawl due to his lack of steam. The inspector got onto the station, and as Thomas just reached him, he jumped inside and turned Thomas' brakes hard on. The inspector soon let a sigh of relief. Thomas knew all too well and agreed. The Fat Controller had ordered the viaduct for the main line to be fixed up, but this meant the engines on the main line had to go slower so they wouldn't break the viaduct. This made their trains later and later. No one was more upset about this than Thomas. I can't be kept waiting for Henry and James with their trains. They need to hurry up for once. At last, Henry lost patience. If we hurried over the viaduct, you would not have any more passengers. And then what would you do? I'd run my trains properly, said Thomas cockily as he left. Usually, when Bertie arrived at the station, Thomas would normally be there ready to take his passengers. But because the viaduct was being fixed up, Bertie came earlier than Thomas, and his passengers had to wait for Thomas to arrive. What's the matter, Thomas? You out of breath? Said Bertie one day. We should have another race. Thomas went bluer than ever. I don't need to race you to show that I'm not late. And Thomas fumed away. The next day, Thomas was super late because James was late with his train. Sorry, Thomas, I got hold up, said James. I don't need excuses, said Thomas as he puffed away. As Thomas reached the tunnel, he saw Bertie the bus. Thomas, said Bertie, I've broken down. Please take my passengers to the station. This raised Thomas's spirits, for it turns out he wasn't late at all. Of course, Bertie, said Thomas. The passengers went into Annie and Clarabelle, and before Thomas left, he told Bertie he would get help. That evening, Bertie met Thomas at the sheds. I'm sorry I teased you, Thomas, said Bertie. That's all right, Bertie, said Thomas. You were just joking. Sometimes I guess being late isn't so bad after all.
Near the side of the railway, a turntable is used to help the engines with their work. Big engines like Gordon have trouble with moving it. Thomas, a smaller engine on the other hand, has an easier time with it. One day, Gordon was arguing to Thomas about this predicament. You see, little Thomas, we have a position to keep up. It doesn't matter where you go, but for us tender engines, shunting coaches is, well, it's just not how we roll. Thomas only ignored Gordon and puffed away. Next morning, Gordon was at the turntable getting ready to pull his coaches. But when his driver went to turn it, Gordon had trouble fitting on it. Because the wind was very strong that day, it kept pushing Gordon backwards every time he went forwards. After 30 minutes, Gordon's driver gave up. It's no use, said his crew. You'll have to pull the coaches backwards today. Oh, said the boys. Oh, I thought it was a new character. Oh, said James. Really sucks to be you, Gordon. The next day, James went to the turntable. He could move on it much easier. A little too easier. James was so light that the turntable spun round and round like a top. Gordon soon came in the middle of it. After some time, James finally stopped, but Gordon had seen everything. Well, James, are you playing roundabouts? But James was too dizzy to answer and puffed sadly into the sheds. That night, the engines argued. This is ridiculous, said Gordon. First, Henry gets sprayed by an elephant, then I have to pull my train backwards, and now James gets spun around like a top on the turntable. Well, said Gordon mischievously, the Fat Controller will have a nasty day tomorrow morning. He'll see what trouble we can really get up to. Percy worked hard at the new hull of Thomas and Toby. They shunted trucks, pulled them. When Toby needed help, Percy would shunt cars for him, and he would take to the quarry. Toby, would take cars to the quarry. There is an airfield nearby the harbour, with a noisy helicopter, buzzing like an angry bee around the place. Stupid thing, said Percy. One day, Percy stopped near a signal near the airfield and met the helicopter. I'm Harold, said the helicopter. Who are you?
I'm Percy. What lanky arms you've got. They're my propellers, said Harold. Well, I like my rails, said Percy. I find rails to be quite slow and out of date, said Harold boredly. They're not much use, you know. And Harold, just like that, flew away. At the top station, Percy spoke to Toby while shunting trucks. That stupid whirly bird is irritating me, Toby, said Percy. I wish I could pay him out. Percy soon took some trucks away. He soon saw Harold above. Driver, Percy said, why don't we race Harold? I think that's a good idea, said Percy's driver. And Percy started going faster. Percy went so fast that the guard spilled his tea.
Go slower,
Yelled the trucks, but Percy just ignored them. But Percy only cared about racing Harold. Well, I'll be a ding-dong dang, said Percy's driver. Goodbye. Percy was soon gaining ahead of Harold. A signal soon warned them that they were nearing the harbor. Percy soon rushed in, but was worried. Oh dear, he thought. I think we've lost. His fireman climbed onto his cap. No, he said. I see Harold. He's finding a place to land. We've won. He began to sing a song. Said Harold the helicopter to Percy, you are slow. The railways are out of date and not much use, you know. But Percy with his stone trucks did the trip in record time, and we beat the helicopter in our old branch line. The other workmen sang along. Oh, thank you, said Percy. He especially liked the last part.
Thomas the Tank Engine was feeling bright and cheerful. It was a splendid day. Good morning, he whistled to some cows, but the cows didn't reply. Never mind, said Thomas. They're busy with their breakfast. Next, he saw Bertie. Hello, Bertie. Care for a race today? But all Bertie could say was, ouch! That's another hole in the road. I'm sorry, Bertie, smiled Thomas. Thomas was still in good spirits when Bertie arrived at the next station. Bad luck, Bertie. Now, if you were a steam engine, you would run on a pair of reliable rails. Huh, replied Bertie. The railway was supposed to deliver tar to mend the road 2 weeks ago. You can't trust a thing that runs on rails. I run on rails. You can trust me, Bertie. I'll see if I can find out what's happened. And Thomas puffed away towards the big station. James was snorting about in the yard. It's too bad, he grumbled. Percy goes to work at the harbor, and I do his job. Here, there, and everywhere. Take that! Oh, groaned the freight cars. Just you wait. We'll show you. Gordon laughed. I'll tell you what, James. If you pretended to be ill everywhere, you couldn't shunt freight cars here or go to the quarry there, could you? What a good idea, agreed James. Look, here comes Thomas. I'll start pretending now. Thomas was sorry to see the engines looking miserable. Cheer up, he puffed. It's a beautiful day. Yes, grumbled Gordon, but not for James. What's the matter? Asked Thomas. He's sick, replied Gordon. Yes, he is. I mean, I am, stuttered James. I don't feel well at all. Don't worry, said Thomas kindly. I'll help out if you're ill. Gordon and James snickered quietly to each other. Some of James's cars were coupled behind Thomas, and he steamed away to the quarry. The cars were still cross. We couldn't pay James back for bumping us, so we'll play tricks on Thomas instead. One engine is as good as another. But Thomas didn't hear them. He collected all the stone from the quarry and set off back to the junction. Danger lay ahead. Now for our plan, giggled the cars. Go faster, go faster. They pushed Thomas over the switches. Slow down, called Thomas's driver, and applied the brakes. Poor Thomas stood dazed and surprised in a muddy pond as a toad eyed him suspiciously. Bust my buffers, muttered Thomas. The day started so well, too. Duck pulled away the cars, and Edward helped Thomas back to the junction. Suddenly, Thomas remembered the missing tar. He told Edward all about it. That's strange, said Edward. A car full of tar has been left at my station. That must be it. Driver will make sure it gets to Bertie now. Later, James spoke to Thomas. I'm sorry about your accident, he muttered, and so is Gordon. We didn't mean to get you into trouble. No, indeed, spluttered Gordon. A mere misunderstanding, Thomas. All's well that ends well. Just then, Bertie arrived. He looked much more cheerful. My road's being mended now. Oh, I am glad, replied Thomas. Thanks for all you did, added Bertie. Now I know I can trust an engine, especially if his name is Thomas. Gordon and James puffed silently away to the shed, but Thomas still had company. Well, well, he sighed. What a day for surprises. The toad, who was looking forward to a ride home, noisily agreed.
Percy is an cheeky little engine who gets others into trouble.
Gordon,
He said.
the train is ready.
Gordon raced forward, but only to find some dirty trucks for him in the siding. Percy went away. Gordon went into another siding to contemplate about this.
Stay in the shed today, James,
He said.
The Fat Controller wants to see you.
You know, something special, said James. No matter what his crew said, James forbid to leave his shed. It got so bad that the other engines had to do his own work as well as their own. At last, a manager soon came to sort this out. Sure will, James, he said. No, I'm waiting for the fat man to get here. He can't, he said. He's on holiday for a week. Oh, said James. Oh! And James stormed out of the shed. Where's Percy? But Percy was nowhere in sight. When the Fat Controller did come back, though, both James and Percy were in deep trouble. One day, Percy was given a special task to carry some trucks, and this was his big downfall.
The Fat Controller has chosen me specially to carry some trucks.
Oh, said Gordon. He winked at James. You know, Percy, we've been talking about backing signals. Oh, but I shouldn't explain it to someone as smart as you. After all, said Gordon, you know all about backing signals, do you?
Yeah, of course,
said Percy, lying. Percy went away, and Gordon and James snickered to each other. Percy was curious about the backing signals thing. He had no idea what they were talking about, but he didn't want to seem like an idiot amongst them, so he had to play along. He soon came to another signal. The signal went up instead of down.
I know,
said Percy.
It's one of those backing signals.
Percy started in reverse. Stop, said his driver. You're going the wrong way.
But it's a backing
signal, said Percy. His driver told him everything. That things couldn't get any worse. Gordon soon came to the distance, revealing that he had seen everything from the station. That night, Gordon and Henry mocked Percy for being stupid around a signal. Percy thought they were being very silly indeed.
Train, our favorite little man. chugga chugga chugga.